Lady's heart pounded as she stood next to the building. She leaned forwards and peeked around at Jacques and Trusty, who were bravely about to enter the lion's den on her behalf. She could only hope her plan worked. If it didn't, the three of them could very well end up locked in this awful place, just as Jacques had originally feared. It will work. It has to. Lady watched as the two walked up to the pound's front door, and Trusty, with his big bloodhound body, pushed it right open. Wow, he really was brave. Maybe those days searching the swamps with old Readaloud had paid off. After a minute, Lady heard a loud commotion. Seconds later, a man's voice erupted. "What's going on here? Where did you two come from?" Trusty and Jacques both began barking. Lady could hear rumbling, as if someone was running quickly. Just then, the front door swung open, and Jacques and Trusty burst out of it. The same man who had ensnared Tramp in that net took off after them, carrying the net in one hand while waving his other arm in the air. "Get back here! Get back here, you two!" Lady watched as they ran down the road towards the railroad tracks. This was it. Her limbs trembled, but she tamped down her fear and took off for the pound. She spared herself only a few seconds to glance about the building, noting that it was as run down on the inside as it was on the outside. The city certainly did not care about the condition of this place, which showed what they thought of the dogs inside. Focus. Lady looked around for the dog catcher's desk. If there was a spare set of keys to be found, that was where she would find it. Once she spotted the desk, Lady ran over and hopped on the chair behind it. She sniffed around, not sure what keys would smell like, but hoping her nose would lead her to them all the same. A clamorous uproar snagged her attention. It was the dog catcher. He was back. Lady jumped down from the chair and scurried underneath the desk. "That'll teach you to run from me," the dog catcher said. "And don't you worry about your little friend. I'm going to find that Scotty and lock him in here with you." Oh no, the dog catcher had captured Trusty. Lady shook her head, not wanting to believe it. She was now responsible for two of her friends getting locked in the pound. She could only hope that Jacques had taken off for home. She would not blame him for abandoning her. Psst, psst. Lady jerked her head up. She crawled on her belly, sliding on the worn hardwood floor, and peeked out from underneath the desk. Psst, Lassie. It was Jacques. "Jacques, what are you doing here?" Lady whispered. "Go home." Jacques shook his head. "I'm not leaving you and Trusty." He dashed underneath the desk and stood beside her. "Did you find the spare key?" he asked in a low voice. "Not yet," Lady said. "I'm not sure if there even is a spare key." The thump of heavy footsteps came from somewhere in the distance. Lady glanced towards the sound, and that was when she saw it. Hanging from a peg on the wall, just to the right of the desk, was a large silver ring holding a lone metal key. "Jacques, I found it," Lady said in a loud whisper. "Over there." She tipped her nose up at the key. The footsteps grew louder. The dog catcher was on his way back. If she was going to act, she had to act fast. Without giving herself the chance to hesitate, Lady jumped onto the chair and reached for the key, then grabbed it between her teeth and yanked it off the peg. She alighted from the piece of furniture just as the dog catcher entered the room. Scrambling back underneath the desk, she made a right as he sat down in the very chair she had just been on. She and Jacques scooted to the very back of the space underneath the desk. They looked at each other, then at the feet before them on the floor. They looked at each other again, and Jacques nodded. They both knew what he had to do. Jacques rushed forwards and clamped his teeth onto the dog catcher's right ankle. The man howled in pain and shot up from the chair, Jacques still attached to his leg. Lady sprinted out from underneath the desk, the key dangling from her mouth. She made a beeline for the long hallway where the caged dogs were kept. "Tramp?" She tried calling his name through her clenched teeth, but it was muffled. "Lady?" She ran to the sound of Tramp's voice, finding him in the second-to-last cage. Her heart soared at the sight of him. "Lady!" Tramp yelled. "You came!" She nodded. She looked up at the lock, then around for something she could climb on. "Too high up for ya, kid?" "Huh, kid?" "Here, let me have that," Tramp said. He reached through the door's metal bars and grabbed the key with his paw. Within seconds, the lock clicked open, and Tramp pushed through the door. "Come on," Lady said. "We must free the others. Jacques won't be able to hold the dog catcher off for much longer." They worked quickly, unlocking each door and releasing the captured dogs. "Where is Trusty?" Lady asked. "Oh, Miss Lady, ma'am," came a familiar voice from the very last cage. "Trusty! Over here," Lady called. She and Tramp ran over to the cage where Trusty was being held and made quick work of freeing him. I'm so sorry you were locked up in here, Trusty." "It's all right, Miss Lady." "Hey, we gotta go," Tramp said. From the front of the pound came a crash and loud yelp. The three of them ran towards the sound. Lady stopped in her tracks at the sight of the sheer pandemonium that had broken out. Jacques still held on to the dog catcher's ankle. Another dog hung from the hem of his shirt, and yet another, a tiny chihuahua, had climbed on top of the dog catcher's head and was tugging on his hair. "Good job, gang," Tramp said, "but I think it's time we all skedaddle." All at once the dogs released the dog catcher, and together they ran from the building and across the train tracks. Pride blossomed in Lady's chest as the wind blew in her face. She'd done it. She'd faced down a pack of angry dogs, navigated her way through the big city, and come up with a plan to save not only Tramp, but all the strays that had been locked up. She'd done more than she'd ever thought herself capable of. They finally stopped once they'd reached the wooded area on the outskirts of the city. The other strays huddled around her, thanking her for freeing them. You did good, lassie," Jacques said. "You sure did," Trusty said. "You should be proud of yourself." Lady squared her shoulders and lifted her chin. "I am proud of myself," she said. Jacques and Trusty and Tramp all sniffed one another. After a few minutes, they decided it was okay to be friends. Trusty and Jacques soon took off for home, leaving Lady and Tramp together under the branches of a large oak tree. "Say, kid, who could have predicted this, huh?" Tramp said. "Predicted what?" Lady asked. I thought I was the one rescuing you from a boring life. Instead, you rescued me. You really saved me there, Pidge." "I couldn't leave you," Lady said. He walked up to her and pressed his nose against hers. "And I'm never leaving you." And that is the end of Lady Saves the Tramp. Thank you so much for this wonderful journey of the 4 additional Twisted Tale novellas from the Descendants Disney Twisted Tales Advent Calendar book bundle. And I hope that you have a wonderful holiday, and I hope you have a happy Christmas, as well as a happy new year. Till 2026, peace out, see you later.